lot of y'all gave up. A lot of y'all was already ready to kick the can in the season. Y'all was through two games, and y'all was saying bench Bryce. Trade Leggett for, well, even though Leggett ain't playing. I heard Canales and bench Bryce and the season's over at 2 games, and now look at us. Man, wasn't that a lovely day to be a Panthers? It was a lovely day to be a Panthers fan yesterday, and this is the day after. I am Lewis from Dark Grapes, and we're here to talk about the glorious game yesterday in which the Panthers shut out the Falcons for their home opener 30-0. That's why Falcons put up a whole goose egg, and the Panthers, man, like I said, it was a good day to be a Panthers fan yesterday. It was so much energy. Even though I wasn't at the stadium, you could just feel it just all throughout Panthers Nation. Man, that gave us something to be excited about today, and I'm excited to just talk about it. What a dominant performance by the Panthers team, breaking their streak, which I didn't even know was a streak. They had won 4 previous years without winning their home opener. And this was a game I came in saying, if you watch my previous video, I said this was a statement game for the Panthers. Even though the first 2 games at Arizona and at Jacksonville obviously didn't go how we wanted, you couldn't come out at home and put up a stinker in front of the fans. That wasn't going to bode well for anybody. And I put a lot of expectations. I said even though we didn't have to win, I just wanted us to look competent. We had to look competitive and competent throughout this game. And boy, did we look it. I mean, even I didn't expect this game to go like this at all. The Falcons coming off that big win in Minnesota, they just dominated the Vikings. I thought, especially with our O-line injuries and Bijan being a premier runner, I didn't know how we were gonna, get a win out of this. But we got a win and more. First shutout win in 5 years, just a dominant performance, man. And I'm excited to talk about it. But of course, let's talk about the little bad things and the takeaways that we hopefully can improve on going next week and weeks forward. So let's start with the bad takeaways. Third down conversions. Yesterday we were 3 for 11. Last week against the Cardinals, we were surprisingly good on third down, especially starting the game. But this game, we kind of struggled a little bit on third down. Hopefully going forward, we can kind of correct those and make some better passes. A couple of those throws from Bryce were off the mark. There were a couple of drop catches here and there. I don't know if it was on third down, but obviously the big one to T-Mac over the top, which could have been a catch, but he tried to one-hand it. Maybe next time T-Mac just got to get 2 hands on the ball or attempt to try to get 2 hands on the ball. But these are all kind of nitpicks here, just things to improve on. I'm sure T-Mac is going to fix that because he knows that was a missed opportunity. He's still waiting on his first touchdown in the league. It definitely will come. Just glad that they're feeding him and giving him those opportunities to make plays. But if I just were to nitpick, third down conversions, 3 for 11, we can't do that against better teams. And even though our defense plays still, I'm going to talk about the defense in a second, obviously. But there were a lot of times where we gave them opportunities to convert on those third downs for the Falcons' third downs, rather. We gave them opportunities and just they couldn't execute the plays. Like Penix just made an errant throw here and there, or for some reason just the play fell apart. So it wasn't so much that our defense was just playing shut down. Even we were in some aspects, but there were opportunities for them to score, especially that first missed field goal after the muff punt. That should have been 3 points on the board. And, just those points on the board, it might have swung momentum for Atlanta a little bit just to see some points go on the board. So you never know how those things might go. Those are things to tighten up, especially on the special teams part. Mainly when we go against better teams, we're going to have to clean a couple of these things up. Those better teams aren't going to let us get away without repercussions of those plays, right? They're going to capitalize. They're going to score. So just things to clean up again. I'm pretty sure this is things that Canales and the team are aware of. There are things they have to tidy up so they can really elevate and get to that next level and keep this kind of performance and this standard. Now, let's talk about the good takeaways. First and foremost, man, this defense. This defense was coming to a lot of criticism. I stated in the first 2 games, the defense and the offense had a little bit to do with the two, but the defense, they just gave up a lot of big plays, and they allowed the deficit to grow early on in those games against the Cardinals and the Jags that we were climbing out of a hole. The offense was for the rest of the game and kind of put us on our back foot. The defense here stood their ground. They made a statement early. Falcons didn't even get past the 30-yard line of the Panthers, which is an insane stat. When you think about it. I mean, they're not getting past the 30. They didn't get in the red zone once. So I gotta shout out Avero, man. You gotta give Avero credit. We were tearing him down. People were tearing him down when the defense underperformed last year. You gotta give him credit for at least this game specifically. Now it's gonna be on him to keep up this standard and see what works. But from the jump, I had faith in Avero. I just said, let's see him with healthy players, and let's see what he can do with everybody here. Even though coming to this game, I saw there were a couple of inactives. I think Turk Wharton was out, Pat Jones was out, two of our all-season signings. But even without those, signings on the field, we were still able to put a good game, especially stopping the run. I mean, Bijan only had 72 yards. That was one of my biggest concerns coming into this game. What were we going to do to stop Bijan Robinson? Because our run defense was so poor, especially historically and previously going back. And the fact that we only put up 72 yards. Now, a lot of that I think is on the Falcons play calling, because I thought they could have ran Bijan even more, especially early on. I think, was it their first drive, like their first 1 or 2 drives? I don't even think Bijan got more than 2 touches. I think the first drive, I can't even recall if he ran the ball once. I think they went 3 and out just on passes. So I don't know why they didn't try to incorporate Bijan more. But even when they did, our run defense in the interior, Derek Brown, all them big boys, they made sure that Bijan couldn't get that much going. He didn't break out for too many of those big runs that kind of just kill momentum for the Panthers, but incite momentum on the Falcons side. We were also effective in making Michael Penix look very questionable out there. We had, of course, Shaw Smith-Wade, a big pick six, which was a very huge score, because if you remember going to halftime, it was 10-0, and even though the Falcons couldn't really get a lot going, 10-0 is one swing of the pendulum, and then momentum goes right back to them, right? I think we got the ball coming out of halftime. We failed to score. Falcons were to get that ball, go to score. Now it's 10-7, and you're putting some pressure on the Panthers and Bryce to execute the offense. Who knows how that would have handled. But thankfully, the defense took that scenario out. Pick six it gave us a lot more breathing room, and I feel like I could breathe when I saw the score was 17. I was like, okay, we might actually do this here. I wasn't thinking shut out, but we actually definitely win this game. Mike Jackson, another great pick. He almost took it back. He got stopped a couple of yards short, but again, nice interception there. Going back to Bijan Robinson and how he couldn't get really going in the run game, I have to speak to the fundamentals of the players today, man. Their tackling was on point, and that was definitely another reason why the Falcons couldn't really get any of that offense going. Specifically, if I wanted to point out, which I'm pretty sure they're probably going to point this out in film room, there was a play with Trey Moore. No, actually, I'll lie. It was Mike Jackson. Bijan, he had a cut up the middle. If he would have got past Mike Jack, he would have been gone. It probably would have been scored. There was nobody behind him. But Mike Jack made a timely tackle right before he got past that second level. And that's the type of stuff we want to see, the tackling. It's the stuff that it isn't, popular in highlights or whatever, but making good fundamental base tackles like that, that's what prevents those third and short situations or those big run touchdowns, right? Got to make the tackles when you need them. So good job on Mike Jack for that tackle. The whole defense was on point with their fundamentals. Trey Moore had a bunch of good tackles and plays. So job well done on the defense overall, man. AC Horn had another great game, of course, man. I think held Darnell Mooney to a couple yards. I believe he was the main one guarding him. Even Drake London didn't really get off like that. Could attribute a lot of that to just Michael Penix playing poor, but either case, hey, the corners and the DBs, they played well. So, moving past the defense, I think I've spoken enough about them. Ryan Fitzgerald, rookie kicker out of FSU, hit all 3 of his kicks, including the second longest kick in Panthers history from, 57? Yeah, so shout out to him. Looks like we have our kicker for the future, which if you have a good kicker, I mean, you see what having a bad kicker does, because the Falcons left 6 points off the board, just some, not chip shots, but those are field goals they expect, your kicker to make. And they just let Koo go the week before, so it's like, dang, we're starting back from scratch trying to find a kicker. Shout out to him for making all 3 of those field goals. Definitely helped put an exclamation point on those drives where we weren't necessarily able to get into the end zone, but we still left some points, so it didn't feel like the drive was a total waste. Good job to Ryan Fitzgerald. Another good takeaway, I got to give some credit to that offensive play calling, man. I loved how aggressive we stayed throughout all 4 quarters of the game. We kept the foot on the gas. I was afraid going into the 4th quarter when that lead was 23-0 or 20-0. I was afraid we were going to take our foot off the gas a little bit and, play a little more conservative with the play calling. Even though obviously we weren't throwing, 50-yard bombs or whatever, but I like how aggressive we were throughout the whole game. Even in that fourth quarter, that fourth down play in the red zone, instead of going for that field goal, no. I like his call of going for it on fourth down, going to get those 7 points. I like Canals. I loved it, actually. I love that call. Let's not pussyfoot around here. Let's go. This is a statement game, and we needed to make a statement to the Falcons and also the rest of the division, right? We need to show what we are capable of doing, so we're not afraid to put points on the board. I love that. In addition to play calling, one of the things I mentioned last week was I wanted to see more jump balls thrown up to T-Mac. And this game, we definitely got some more just over the top, go make a play type of, passes thrown to him. I think, obviously, the highlight, even though it wasn't in the end zone, but that catch where T-Mac it looks like he's like Jordan in the air. Is going to be definitely showing some highlight reels, just how high he got. And T-Mac, again, is looking to be that wide receiver one stud that we need on this team. He's looking like one of the better rookie wide receivers in the league. He is that dude, and I just can't wait to see him flourish in that Panthers uniform, man. Obviously, he had the missed touchdown. I know he's going to be kicking himself, but he even said in the postgame, hey, he's got to get that one, and he's going to be right back to work. And that's what I love to see. We won this game, but, hey, there's still stuff to clean up. It's only one game. Let's get back to work. That punch-on fumble at the end by Lathan Ransom, I think, really epitomizes what I love to see. Fighting for all 4 quarters, keeping our foot on the gas pedal, keeping our energy up. That's what I like to see. Finishing, a big thing that I always says Canales likes to preach, is a finish. Just because we're up 30-0 or whatever the score was, I believe it was 30-0 at the time, but that doesn't mean we can take plays off and give up big plays. I love that they wanted that shutout. They wanted to put a stamp on that game by letting the Falcons get that goose egg. And that fumble at the end, that forced fumble, I should say, it wasn't just a forced fumble by Lathan Ransom, punching the ball out. That's the type of stuff we need. We want us to work hard all 4 quarters, no plays off, and I love that. I love that energy that I'm seeing. And the last good takeaway I'll say is Bryce played a clean game. He didn't blow me away with the stat sheet. I think he only had 121 yards, but he played a very clean game, turnover-free, mistake-free, which sometimes that's all you need. No fumbles, no super errant passes, just played a clean game, even used his legs to get that initial touchdown. And again, with that touchdown, I'll speak on having a strong start. Another big thing that I like and that hopefully we see and carry going forward is starting strong. That first drive set the momentum for the rest of the game for us, scoring on the initial drive at home. Big thing. Can we keep that going forward? Can we keep that consistency of start so we're not digging ourselves out of a hole? Can we start with some momentum? I love that Bryce played a good game. The O-line as well. I was worried because that Falcons pass rush killed the Vikings last week. So I don't know if that's more of an indictment on what the Vikings have and, what they're bringing to the table, or that's an indictment on us or the Falcons. But either way, O-line came with a couple injuries. We only allowed 1 sack. And we were able to get some things going. The run game was able to open up, and they were, making holes in areas. They were giving Bryce some time to make some throws. So I got a shout out to the run game, I got a shout out to the O-line. They stepped up because I definitely thought that was going to be an area of concern, especially with those injuries. There were no errant, hiked balls over the top. So I forget the name of the center who is replacing Austin Corbett. But it seemed like a lot of better chemistry with the center and Bryce this time around. If Corbett is to, we eventually will come at, but I just hope to see that good chemistry and flow continue going forward. Now, going forward versus the Patriots, I didn't speak on this yet, but Leggett didn't play this game. He was actually inactive. I was coming in hoping that this home opener would be a big game, a big mental boost for him, but I think he said because of a hamstring issue, which, it could be either, he said partially due to a real injury and also just maybe a break just to get his mental back right, just play it safe. Thankfully, it worked out. But let's say if we were to come back and the offense didn't look as, gelled, it's not going to lead credence to Leggett maybe being an issue on this team. I don't think it is, but I think he does need to come back into this offense against the Patriots and see, it's time to see what he can do, right? He's had the week off. He'd be fully rested. And he needs to come back and have a good game. He doesn't have to, throw up 150 yards or nothing like that, but he needs to have a solid game if he's thrown to and targeted to. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Leggett will bring when he comes back, assuming he comes back next week against the Patriots. In addition, how are we going to contain Drake May? Right? They just lost to the Steelers in a close game, actually. So they're coming home. They're going to be a little motivated to get some revenge from that Steelers loss. How are we going to be able to control that offense? And are we going to be able to get some pass rush on Drake May and that passing game? This game against the Falcons, we didn't have any sacks on, which is a little disappointing, but we were able to kind of disrupt him and get in his face a little bit. So definitely, get some pressure on him. But like I said earlier, a lot of those errant passes were just on Michael Penix. I think Drake May is a little bit more polished in that, and he can still move to his feet. So how are we going to contain him? I'm interested to see how Ibero is going to maneuver with that and game plan around that. Speaking on the defense as well, they're all going to get their praise and their glory for having to shut out this game. None of that matters next game, all right? It's going to be a clean slate. Can we maintain that level of consistency? You even rise that level of play and standard? Can we rise that going forward? Can we even do better, right? Those plays that maybe didn't fabricate it and come to fruition because of Michael Penix's play. What if Drake Mays makes those throws, right? Are our DBs going to be right there to make those tackles? Are they going to be tighter in coverage? So those throws this week that would have been completed, those are maybe batted passes against the Patriots. So I'm just interested to see how the defense is going to continue to evolve and grow. They can't come out and lay an egg next week after making such a statement this week. I want to see that pass rush. Assuming Turk Warden and Pat Jones, how they're going to incorporate it. I got a shout out to the rookies as well, Nick Scorden, and I forget the other dude's name. But hey, if Pat Jones and them, come back and not as impactful, I think it's time to really start putting some more snaps in Nick Scordon's, and I forget the other guy's name, but their hands. And lastly, the offense going forward. Obviously, because we took advantage of so many of the Falcons' mistakes in this game, the offense didn't really have to do much. We didn't have to go to win the game because we just ultimately took advantage of those bad situations that the Falcons put themselves in. What if the Patriots don't decide to do that? They're going to be at home, so momentum is more going to be on their side, right? In those instances, can Bryce and, Chuba and Enrico Dowdle, who had his first touchdown of the season, can we put more of a stamp on that side of the football? Can we show that we can put together a complete offensive drive from, let's say the 20 and go down the field and score? Can we do that consistently? In addition, can we start well? Can we go out there on that first drive and at least get 7 points, right? Go from mistake-free to impact-making, right? Can we go from mistake-free to game-winning offensive football? So I'm excited to see that. In either case, though, we won 30-0, baby, against the Falcons divisional opponents. So that puts us at 1-2. I ain't going to complain too much. We're going to be celebrating. I'm going to be celebrating until the next game. But I do love the philosophy of the coaching staff and the players. This is only one game. Everybody in that team, in that locker room, is ready to get back to work. They realize it's only one game. The grand scheme of things, this doesn't mean much. But this is a imprint of what they can do, right? Last year, we didn't get that until, I lied. When Andy played that first game, we kind of saw a little bit of what that offense could do, and then that kind of subsided, and Bryce came back. And those Chiefs-Eagles game, later in the years when we saw what this offense could be capable of. Now we're week 3 when this happened, right? Can we continue this going forward for the rest of the year? They kind of shut up a lot of the Panthers fans that were panicking, ready to give up on the season and the team already. The fair weather fans, they ain't really here for real. I'm not one of them. I'm here. I see the vision. I got faith in the boys. And hopefully they don't let me down. We continue to see some competent, mistake-free football from the Panthers. So let me know what y'all think, though, about the Panthers' shutout victory. Who was your team? Did they win? Are you a Panthers fan? How do you feel about yesterday's victory, the dominant victory? I'm going to say it again. Let me know. Let's have a conversation, of course. I don't got no beverage in my hand. It's kind of early. It's like 10-something, so I ain't drinking no champagne or no Chardonnay yet. But if you're watching this a little later than me, I hope you are enjoying your beverage. And I hope you stay hydrated and stay moisturized. I'm out.